Thank God.
Oh, Nate.
What happened?
It's Lazarevich. They found us.
Bemaka.
I don't know. I don't know. Schaefer's got her.
Kare.
Mol Schaefer and Yum Dudu.
Schaefer.
They went the other way.
All right.
Nate, this is our fault. We did this.
Just stay here. We keep them safe. Come on.
Hey, what's up everyone? PersNikity here, moving on to Chapter 19, Siege, in the Uncharted 2 brutal difficulty walkthrough. Now, right at the start, you're going to see a cut here because I did die. But what you're going to want to do is, there's going to be quite a few enemies out here. So you can stand in this doorway here and take them out. If you want, you can use the crossbow. The crossbow tends to be like a one-hit kill, but I like to try to save those for the stronger enemies if I have to, or for like a worst case scenario, or if I'm in a tough spot or anything like that. Point is, if you don't have to use the crossbow, it's a good weapon to save the ammo for. Now, you can see there's a couple enemies coming up this hill. This pillar here is pretty good for standing behind. The only problem is you're going to have villagers running around, and sometimes they can get in your way or make the angles kind of difficult, so you got to be careful with that. Like you see right here, this guy, for whatever reason, that's not even good cover where he's standing. So kind of a stupid AI right there. What are you going to do? You just got to kind of deal with it. But just kind of stay back here, let the enemies rush up the hill, and as they present themselves, obviously, just take them down one at a time. Now you see I'm going to veer over to the left here so that I can position myself around this corner. And now you see that a heavily armored enemy is approaching, and so that's a good point where you can use the crossbow to take him out pretty quickly. Keep in mind, it's not going to be a one-hit kill on him. Maybe if you get a headshot, but obviously he has that extra armor. And then there's going to be an enemy down here, and once again that AI just idiotically got in my way, so kind of annoying. But yeah, Chapter 19 is Chapter 19 is not terribly difficult. Now you're gonna get this, you see this note right here, that's why the video cut is, because after you kill that guy you should get a checkpoint. And then as you make your way down the hill, these two guys are going to appear on the roof. So these two guys killed me, and then I respawned right here. So that's why I said you get that checkpoint. So just be careful of that. Just kind of run out far enough to spawn them, and then run back so that you can kill them from a safe distance behind cover. And once you take them out, you'll be good to breathe for a little bit. You can run down this hill here and pick up some ammo. There should be some grenades on the ground. Pick up whatever guns you feel most comfortable with. Like I was saying, Chapter 19, it's pretty tough. There is a lot of combat. The village is not the easiest to strategically navigate. There's a lot of areas you can take cover. There's a lot of areas to fight from, and that tends to make things a bit harder. Now you see here, what I'm doing is I'm using the crossbow to shoot these enemies at a really far distance. And that way I can exhaust all of these crossbow bolts, and then if I shoot them all, I can run back and pick up that AK-47. Now you're going to get a checkpoint here too, so once again you're going to see that video cut, because this is where you will respawn if you die. You'll notice I still have the crossbow, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the left here and climb up on this rooftop, and I'm pretty much going to take cover in this little corner here for most of this fight. This is a pretty good spot to be in. This rooftop right in front of me with the turret on it, there's going to be numerous enemies that pop up there. If you have more grenades than me, then that's awesome. You're going to want to try to pop a grenade into that turret hole. If you do not have that many grenades, there are some that you can pick up on the ground below, but obviously that's pretty hard to do with enemies running around and with that turret firing on you. So if you have at least one grenade, throw it into the turret hole and shoot them. If you don't have any grenades and you don't want to go get some, you can just shoot the enemies regularly, and then once no more enemies are coming, you can jump over the wall and kind of slowly sneak over to the turret. The one thing you have to be careful about are these enemies over here on this rooftop. I think there's like usually one or two of them up there. And you're going to want to make sure you kill them before you go any further. Because if you do venture out and try to sneak up on that turret, those two guys over there can shoot you really easily. And so that's kind of what I meant by this level being hard to strategically navigate. There's just so many little rooftops and so many little areas where the enemy can fire at you from, that things become difficult really fast. And like right here, for example, you kind of have to go a long way in order to get a checkpoint, and that makes things even more stressful, because you know that, after you get through all this, you still got to go a little further, and if you die, you're going to have to do everything over again. So my best piece of advice is just to be patient, take cover, and observe your surroundings and make sure there's no enemies hidden behind any small pieces of cover or anything like that. And then another thing you'll notice I'm doing here is I'm just taking my time and picking off this enemy at a distance. This is one guy. Sure, it's taking a while, it's taking more bullets than I would have liked, but it's also a lot safer. It's a much safer approach. And so you see, there was another grenade on the ground here. There's a lot of grenades lying around on the walls, and dead soldiers will drop them. So grenades shouldn't be too hard to come by. Just try to use them sparingly, because they could really come in handy either with this turret or later on in the level. So if you have grenades, do try to save them for a later bit. Now you see here the next wave of enemies you got to worry about are these guys that are down between these pillars where I'm aiming right now. There's usually one behind each side, and they can be kind of a pain because they don't like to pop out. They like to just take cover, and so once again you have to utilize that slow but steady approach, and you just got to be patient and wait it out. But finally, if you get up to this point here, you can actually jump down without any fear. There's not going to be any enemies on the roof yet that you have to worry about. So if you're able to get over here, you can drop down and get a little bit closer to these guys. And then once again, just stick to the left, turn your corners carefully, and then boom, you see now I had a much better angle, and I could get a headshot off pretty quickly and really easily. So like I said, a lot of different ways you can approach this level. By no means is there one surefire way, but this is just the way that I've always done it, and it's the way that I personally found was the easiest. Now with all the enemies dead, you're going to want to go into here. You can find grenades and ammo and everything like that. And this is kind of the area I was talking about, where if you're struggling to find grenades, you could come here at the beginning, but it's a lot tougher when you have a ton of enemies firing at you, obviously. Now once you get to this location here, there's going to be a couple more enemies you have to worry about. You can see them right now under this little archway, and so make sure you take them out, because you just don't want any last minute surprises, because if you get to this point here, you're about to earn a checkpoint. So you'll notice what's going to happen is what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to run through this open doorway here, and once you go far enough, you'll see this little cinematic, and now you have a checkpoint. So if you die, you will actually spawn. So you see right here, I just wanted to show you for sure. If you die like I did, you'll spawn right here. Right off the respawn, you're going to sneak your way over to the left here. And that's because those enemies will charge you, and so you want to kind of put as much distance between yourself and them as possible. And so you see what I actually decided to do is I ran back to pick up this crossbow that I noticed leaning against the side of the building, and I did that because it's just a quick, easy kill. And then once I utilize the crossbow, I can just run back and pick up the gun I dropped, or if it happens to disappear, you can pick up any other gun lying around. There's a lot of M4s and AKs lying about. You might be able to find a shotgun here or there. But you'll see now, this is what I was talking about. The enemies will start to come down the hill towards you. And so one thing I recommend doing is just kind of tracking back a little bit, or backtracking. I don't know why I said that backwards. But coming back to this location here, because really there's not a whole lot of cover on this road here. So if you backtrack far enough, you'll be able to hide behind that stone wall, because there is a heavily armored enemy that will make his way down towards you. So you just want to make sure you have enough room to back up and you have enough cover to protect yourself. And then finally, don't let this guy go unnoticed. There will be one guy up here. You could see him standing on this ledge, and he has an RPG. So luckily they're actually pretty easy to take out, because you just want to shoot them in between RPG shots. Now one thing you're going to want to do here is prepare yourself for this enemies that is going to kind of sneak out of the side right here. So as you make your way down here, there's going to be a grenade thrown, so just instantly run back and then prep your weapon, because after he throws that grenade, he will come out like you see him do right here. So it just helps to kind of be prepared for little things like that. And those are the type of things that come with playing the game so many times. You start to remember and you start to learn where these little occurrences pop up, and I think that really helps. I think that really helps you to stay alive in a lot of these situations where the enemies kind of pop out of nowhere. But anyway, once you get past this whole firefight that we just did, unfortunately you're not out of the woods yet. This level is going to end with a pretty tough firefight that's going to begin, I believe, as soon as we climb up this ladder and then one other. And the final firefight of this chapter, it is pretty tough, and the main reason it's tough is because the game decides to be very short-handed with checkpoints, and that makes things incredibly tough. So first, what you're going to do, climb the ladder, take care of this guy here. Now, if you have grenades, this is the point where I was saying it's a good idea to save them for. You should be able to find some littered about a lot of places throughout this level. I mean, it's a war zone. There should be grenades. But this is where you get the checkpoint on the top of this rooftop, and you really are not going to get another checkpoint in the duration of this entire fight. And it is a tough fight. There are a lot of enemies, a lot of strong enemies, and with no checkpoints, it just becomes increasingly difficult. So first things first, kill those enemies on the adjacent rooftop, and then if you look down, you should be able to see enemies climbing up ladders and enemies down on the ground level. A lot of times the enemies will want to throw grenades like you saw right there, so if you see that, make sure you shoot them so that they drop the grenade and you save yourself a lot of ammo. Now down here on ground level there is going to be a heavily armored soldier. Usually he doesn't move that far and he's actually pretty easy to take out. This guy, he was moving a lot more than I was used to, so I just kind of had to improvise and take him out with my guns. Usually I save my grenades for him, but that's okay. Again, this guy here, he was prepping a grenade, and so I shot him in order for him to drop it and save myself some ammo. And then finally, there's going to be another guy down here behind this wall. Take him out, should be pretty simple, and then one more guy to the left. Because you have the higher ground, you can get some pretty easy headshots right here, so don't worry too much about that. It's really the next part that's more difficult. So what we just did now, this is what I consider the first half of the firefight, or maybe the first third of the firefight, I should say. And the first third is really easy. So what you're going to want to do, once you don't see any more enemies, come down here to pick up some grenades and ammo, but be careful, because if you run this far, enemies will start to climb up this ladder here, and then you see this little blue covered place on the right side of the screen. They'll start to go near that too, so that's why you see I'm looking over there. But now we're going to kind of transition into the second third of this firefight. So you'll notice I picked up the grenade launcher off of that fallen enemy. This is a really great weapon to get one-hit kills. It's also really useful, you know, if there's a pack of enemies, you can potentially kill or damage multiple guys with one shot. But you're gonna see here now, this is where the second third of the fight takes place. Way down here, we're on a pretty high rooftop. So again, there's going to be another blue covered structure to the left, and there's going to be some enemies hidden in there. You could test your luck with the grenade launcher. It might be easier just to take them out with an assault rifle, because you see how I'm kind of like nicking the top of the rooftop here, which is wasting a lot of ammo. Take out those guys however you see fit. But I do, you see how Tenzin is down below? I don't recommend going down below until you've killed basically everyone. So you see how I'm just being overly cautious here. I'm staying on this rooftop, and what I'm doing is I'm occasionally just kind of peeking over the front edge, trying to kill these enemies. And I'm trying to start with these two enemies on the left, and you see now, I just decided to use my strong pistol. I keep forgetting the name. I think it's like the Desert Eagle or something like that, but it's the strong pistol. That's all you need to know. You should be able to pick it up earlier. This thing you saw right there, that was a one-hit kill from super far away, so this weapon is really invaluable. A great weapon to use if you can pick it up, especially on this part here, because it allows you to get one-hit kills from far away without having to put yourself in too much danger. So you see down here in this doorway, there's going to be a couple more enemies you have to worry about, and that's where, again, that pistol comes in handy. But now you see, I don't hear any more gunfire. I look down there, I don't see anyone else. So I kind of jump down here to test the waters. I'm going to be cautious. I'm seeing, okay, is there any enemies that are going to come out of nowhere? So I'm just kind of testing the waters right here. And if no more enemies come at you, then that means you are done with the second third of this firefight. Now, unfortunately, the last third of the firefight is the toughest part. And again, with no checkpoints, you got to be really careful here. And there's really no perfect way to do this. But what's going to happen is, as soon as you go down there, the third wave of enemies is going to spawn from that building. I'll try to show you. The building right in front of me right now. Okay, I keep moving, but you'll see what I'm talking about. As soon as I jump down, enemies are going to start spawning, and it's really hard to anticipate, but you just got to be ready for it. So you see I'm kind of looking around trying to see if I could get the enemies to spawn, but they're still not spawning. They will not spawn until you hit ground level. Okay, so there it is, the Desert 5. This is the really strong pistol I was talking about. You can find another one in that room right there. So make sure you pick that up. That will be really important here. So what I'm getting ready to do is I'm going to jump down to ground level, and that's when the third wave of enemies is going to spawn, and I'm just going to have to get ready. So you see right here, they spawn. I'm going to run towards here, and you see how they all spawn in this building right here. The main threat is the shield enemy, and so hopefully you've been saving your grenades. But just so you know, this is the room I was talking about. This is where the enemies will spawn from. So if you can anticipate that, and again, if you have this pistol, you'll save yourself a lot of trouble. And with that, once Tenzin runs to this door, that's when you know you are completely clear and done with Chapter 19. So thanks everyone for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. I hope this helped you out, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.
What? Holy shit! Oh crap! Jump! Jump!